Welcome back to KeeperRL. I'm Hoosfoos and today we're starting another playthrough with the default Keeper. We're doing this because I need footage for a guide I'm putting together, but I also thought I'd use this opportunity to do a little bit slower paced tutorial type playthrough. We are going to leave the difficulty the same, though I suppose we could make it easier for a tutorial, but we'll just leave it as it is. You can always soften this if you want, if you're just starting out. We're going to also make sure that we add Clarissa the Mist to our retired dungeons. Fostiva of Monagard is the developer of the game. Clarice is the Clarissa the Mist series that we did on this channel. And I've also set it to islands. You can do islands or inland. Inland is the default, but I've never done islands, and I think it's purely cosmetic. So we've added the retired dungeon. It seems like it always just reloads when I add a new dungeon. Maybe that's because we added a new dungeon, has to lay out the new map. Anyway, so I've set it to islands. Our home biome is mountains. As far as I know, home biome doesn't matter. These are all of the little settlements that we know exist. The white one is our home site, and then when we see the map later, the white circle will also indicate where we're going to be traveling. These are various different cottages. These are not villains, nor are they allies per se. They're just places that you can go, and typically you slaughter all these guys, but also they can be traitors. The red ones are the main villains. The yellow ones are lesser villains. And of course you can see I'm hovering over. This is another thing you want to know throughout the game, that you can hover over a lot of things and they will give you tooltips. So it's really great. It's an easy way to get help. And obviously you can hit the help screen. Why don't we get started? So I've immediately paused it by hitting the space bar. There's a few things I want to talk about to begin with. One, you can see we're playing in windowed mode. This is because I have enabled key presses, so I'm going to hit spacebar. You can see it down here in the lower left. I'm going to pause with space again. This is, again, continuing with the idea that we're going to try to make this a little bit of a tutorial episode, and I could not figure out on Windows how to get the key presses to be recorded in full screen mode. I am not recording mouse clicks, but I will certainly try to talk about them or let you know when I'm doing them. And you can see, if you look at the little cursor there, I'm right-clicking right now, and now I'm left-clicking. You can see the little cursor moves, but I will try to tell you the things that I'm doing. I'm not going to make this a full tutorial playthrough. I'm not going to explain absolutely everything, but I am going to try to tell you what I'm doing. If you have questions about what I have done, please feel free to drop it in the comments, and I will answer it, or answer your questions on the next episode. So let's get started. First, I'm going to assume that you have done the tutorial. And if you haven't, I would really suggest that you do. It's a good tutorial, it's quick, and it really introduces you to basic concepts of the game. Second, we are going to name our imps. Okay, let's start by introducing the characters. So our keeper this time around is named Walrus99. Walrus99 is a default wizard keeper. Walrus99 is one of my subscribers, and they asked to be included in one of the KeeperRL playthroughs, and I was unable to do that in the last one because all the dwarves are already named. So instead of just naming one of our minions, I decided, let's make Walrus99 our keeper. So there you go. Welcome to the game, Walrus99. Thank you for your support. If you're watching this and you want your name in the game as we acquire minions, I'm happy to rename anybody. Our imps are already named. Like and subscribe. And Yeoman Johnson, which we will talk about in a little bit. Meanwhile, let's get started. So we can see on the board we've got two unknowns. And again, you can hover over things. Whoops. There we go. Unknown. Oh, surprise, excuse me. And you can see from the mini-map that I clicked on it. You also want to watch down here in the lower right-hand corner. I will, when appropriate, try to zoom in on it as well in the edits. But you can see when I hover over things in the lower right-hand corner, it tells you all about stuff. I'm going to hit the K key to go to our keeper. That's a very useful hotkey. And you can see Walrus99, the keeper, has a couple of things on them and a certain set of skills. We are going to start by digging. Hold on, I see some stone here. And we also want to get some trees. Okay, so why don't we tell our imps to take a quick look here. Yes, I like this. I like this. Okay, I am, by the way, doing the zoom in and out. There is a hotkey for it. I don't remember it. I'm doing this by rolling the mouse wheel. And that just changes it just zooms in and out. It doesn't actually move you or anything. So why don't we dig? Tell our imps to dig down here. So, oops. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually mark this stone for digging. Just so we can have an idea of where we're going to put some stuff. I like to put my my keep basically below ground and just have an entrance above ground. So what we're going to try doing this time, and I'll tell you also, I like to go right to left, not up and down, so this is actually throwing me off. But I'm going to try to buck my normal thought process and make a room here. We'll do something like, I think like this. Yeah, we'll do this. Actually make this smaller. So what I'm thinking about here is how we might be able to guard our keep down below. In fact, what we'll do instead, is we'll make this 3 wide so that if somebody comes and attacks us, we can have somebody here, and somebody here, and then we'll have a choke point. And then we can have some archers or mages back here. And then what we'll do, so this can be our killing room. And then what we'll do is make a 3x3 and put the stairs in the middle. In fact, we'll make a 3x4 and I'll show you why. So we're going to go to stairs. We're going to set a downstairs where we're going to start our keep. Oh, we can't do that yet until it's dug. So I'm going to hit spacebar to have them start digging. And I'm going to immediately hit 4 because 4 will set it to very fast and I am very impatient. Let's also tell our imps to grab some wood. We want to be careful to avoid these surprises up here, although they may come to see us in a little bit. Oops. Let's go back to our keeper with K. Let's turn that off. So, one of the things I'm doing, you can see if you watch in the lower left here, one of the things I'm doing is using the D key to dig. Now, that's in the tutorial. One of the things, if you watch over here, that I refer to the D key as a menu key, because if I keep hitting D, you'll see it cycles through the various different choices in the dig menu. Or in the structure menu. There are other menu keys as well. For example, the workshops key is M, and you can see I can cycle through the workshop, enchanted workshop, and poetry table. Now, in practice, I don't typically use these menu keys as menu keys. In fact, if you watch my other playthroughs, you'll notice that I typically will use D, and then I'm trying to dig something and I'll accidentally hit D again, and I'll be back in this, I'll be over here in Soft-Rock or something. I just don't use them that way, but they can be very useful that way. There are other menu keys as well, so O goes to doors, and again you can keep hitting O to cycle through here. P will open the prison menu, which we don't have the capacity for prisons yet. R opens the training menu. We can only make wooden dummies, so when I hit R a second time it's closing it. Q opens quarters. S is for storage. This I will occasionally use, but mostly I do a lot of clicking. And V is the bed stuff, so it opens the living menu. There are a few other critical hotkeys, like C for torches, which I believe the tutorial will tell you. So I'm hitting C to turn it on, or to say I want to lay down a torch. Wall torches are free. Let me pause here for a second. Wall torches are free. So I hit C, I click here, it's going to put it at 12 o'clock. If I click again, it will put it at 9 o'clock here because that's the only place I can do it. But what will happen is it'll actually cycle through. So I'm going to hit C, again, put a torch on the wall, I'm going to click again, it'll put it at 3 o'clock. If there were a 6 o'clock wall, if I click again, it would put it there. If there were a 9 o'clock wall, I click again, and it'll put it there. But because there isn't, it will now take it away. Now, if the torch is already built, you can't just click to take it away. Instead, you would have to, say, remove wall installation. So we'll get into that in a little bit. But why don't we put in some torches? Because our guys like to have torches. It actually helps with morale later. I don't think imps have a notion of morale, but the other guys do. And basically, if they're in the dark, our minions will have a decrease in defense and attack if the morale is low. why don't we also... So, see, I marked these trees for digging. You mark trees, just... The tutorial tells you this, but you mark trees for digging just the same way you mark stone for digging. Okay, I'm going to slow this down for a minute because I want to talk about minions in a second. You'll notice, though, that while they're hacking them down, they haven't put it anywhere. That's because I have not put it in a storage spot. Again, that's something that's in the tutorial. Why don't we just go ahead and install our downstairs? I also like to put a door here. And I want to put a door at our entrance and a door here. You'll notice something that's also important, that even though we don't have any wood, see, this is our resources down here, even though we don't have any wood gathered, I can still spend our resources. So it's just like your credit card company, only these guys don't charge interest. So what will happen is, as we accumulate wood in our storage, these things will go from red to just the normal color, in this case brown, and then they'll get built. But this is a very important technique to when you're doing manufacturing of resources like equipment and things like that. You can go ahead and spend and schedule whatever you want, and when you then go mine out the resources or acquire them however you acquire them, those things will be made. So we want these stairs to be made, and we're going to go ahead and put storage downstairs. I'm going to slow this down a little bit. We can't acquire these minions that anyway. So let's go down. I'm going to use dot to do that. So comma goes up and dot goes down, or the less than goes up and the greater than goes down, and you can see that same symbol right here. So it's the same keyboard symbol. Let's take a look at this level. No surprises, and typically there are no surprises on level 1. So we're going to mark this stone for digging out at some point, although it may not be our first priority, but I like to mark these resources so that it also gives us some idea of how we're going to set things up. I am going to go down one more level, just because I like to do that. There's absolutely no reason that you have to do it this way. And I'm going to speed us up. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, as it mentions in the tutorial, are your speed controls. Okay, we have our first minion with an orange circle behind them. You'll notice these other minions don't have anything, although they are telling us, as you can see, that we need certain things just to be able to even acquire them. This orange circle behind a minion means it has something beyond the normal. In this case, it has the permanent trait resistant to magic. This orange circle can appear for negative traits or positive traits, and some negative traits, as we'll talk about when we see them, can be turned to good, or they might be a positive, depending on how you like to play. But regardless of what kind of traits they have, and they can have more than one, they will have an orange circle. So let's let our imps dig this stuff out. Let's go see what Walrus is doing. Here we go. Right, we still haven't built these doors. Walrus is just hanging out here. I'm going to go down. You'll see I do use the hotkeys to go up and down, but I also will sometimes click here or click the left and right or the less than and greater thans. And when you, by the way, as you can see, when you click this, everything is stopped. So it auto-pauses for you when you click that menu. So what I like to do is put down another stairs. And of course you play the game any way you want. Oh, the other thing to recognize is if you look there, see how it's clicking down or ticking down turns left? That is because these immigrants will go away if you don't acquire them, which is fine. If you want to reject a immigrant now, you say, oh, I don't want this goblin shaman for sure, no matter what. You can right click, and that's what I just did there, and same with this wizard. And later on, when we talk about prisons, or when we show prisons, it's the same thing. If you have minions that, or potential prisoners, you can right click to get rid of potential prisoners. I didn't know that for quite a while. So let's take a look down here. Okay, so these are going to be giant tree shrooms. So these are a way you can get wood without having to go to the surface. And that's especially good on dwarf playthroughs because dwarves, they don't like the surface. They're cranky, curmudgeonly. Ooh, look, we have a wizard here. He gets extra spell damage training potential. So we're going to make our base. We're going to start our base down on this level. So again, there's no wrong way to make a base. You also don't need to create specific bedrooms for your minions until much later, when they need luxury and things like that. So we're going to start by creating a barracks. And let me just see how... Okay, you can see we're right on the edge here. which is fine. We have some room to go this way, but I think we'll go up and to the right for our different stuff. So the first thing we're going to do is dig this way. Now, in living spaces, I like to have 2 wide corridors. When I'm digging down lower, I like to do single corridors so that I can have choke points. And of course, they get dug faster as well. So we're going to do this 2 wide corridor here. In fact, we're going to make this 1 wider. I'm also a big fan of symmetry. So one of the things I really, really like about this game is that you can just play the game and do the mechanics and defeat the enemies and build out your stuff, but you can also be as artistic as you want. And while I'm not the most artsy person, I do like to roleplay a little bit. I like to make it so that my guys have a fun place to live. We're going to make some rooms down here. Let me think about what we want to do first. Well, to begin with, we should make our storage area. And our crafting area. So I'm gonna do that up here. So we'll make some barracks down here. Why don't we make a big barracks? We'll do this. I guess this isn't really a corridor, but actually, come to think of it, this isn't a corridor at all. So we're gonna make this the entrance to our barracks. And we'll make it gigantic. This will be our corridor though, so we'll tell the imps to stretch it out way over here. One thing I do like to do, though, is I like to give the keeper their own bedroom. So let's go ahead and do that. Make it nice and big. That for now. And you notice we still don't have any resources. So we're going to make... Since we're going to make our crafting area up here, I'm going to go ahead and dig this corridor out, get started on that corridor. And I don't know that we're going to dig up here. This maybe was a little bit of a mistake, but we can put some stuff in there. I always like to put in torches to keep the morale high. Put in torches by the doorway as well. Whoops. There we go. So I'm just clicking once to add those things. I also like to put them in corners of the rooms. Oh, I dug all the way down to the edge of the map. That's why there's no stone here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to schedule beds for our minions. I'm being very optimistic about the number of minions we're going to get, but why not? Why not? You can, by the way, create individual bedrooms right from the get-go, if that's what you prefer to do. I'm just not doing that in this case. We're also going to schedule gates. A gate to be made on the keeper's bedroom, on Walrus's bedroom. Go ahead and throw some torches in there. Our keeper deserves a fine bed, but we can't afford it yet because that takes iron. So we're going to go ahead and just put in a basic bed for our keeper. We'll go ahead and do torches outside his bedroom. You'll see I'm double-clicking there to move this one down. Okay, let's get moving on some of the crafting stuff. We're going to do the entrance to our crafting area. And we'll do it like this. This will be our big crafting room. We'll make it long. I usually make things in square shape rather than rectangle. But today we're gonna do something a little different. I'm gonna buck my trend, and you can hear my brain sort of locking up as I think about it. So what do we want to put in here? Well, as I mentioned, we definitely want to put our storage in here. So let's go ahead to storage. So resources, oh, it actually show you, look in the lower right hand corner, only wood, iron, granite, and adamantine can be stored here. So this is basically raw resources. So we'll put a space there. Then we'll go back to storage and we'll do equipment. You can see all equipment for your minions can be stored here. These are things that are manufactured, like iron and weapons, armor and weapons and rings and things like that. However, if you want, you can have specialized storage things. Now you'll notice that the resource storage area and the equipment storage area cost nothing, as is true with the torches as well. You'll also see we had that, let me go up to the ground. You'll see that that wood that we had cut here and that was just sitting here has now disappeared because it's gone down to be stored in here. And you can see there's very little wood there. We still need quite a bit more wood, so we'll harvest that in a minute. In fact, what we'll do is we will tell our imps to harvest these tree shrooms, and we'll just extend our corridor way up here. And let me think for a second. It looks like we have more up here, so why don't we just take our corridor and go way high? Since we don't have any unknowns on the map, on this map, we don't really have to be worried about being attacked. Oops. Okay, that's another thing to recognize. Let me just do this. I'll show you what I was talking about. So if you do dig, I don't know if this is in the tutorial, if you have the dig on and you start on a yellow one that's already marked for digging, then it turns red and we'll remove it. See that? And you can do this, but it's not going to do anything. So you'll see me accidentally do that. Oops, and you'll see I just did the thing I was talking about where I hit D again for soft rock. So now I'm just going to do this. You'll see me do this sometimes where I want to do like some big thing and I'll accidentally grab a little yellow bit and then oops, I am accidentally deleting that stuff to the left. So I just right click to turn off dig and then I can do my big thing again. We're not actually going to do that though. So we'll let our guys grab that wood. Let's have them grab this wood as well. There's that stone there. We'll mark this. Oh, see, I did it again. I do that. If you watch my earlier playthroughs, you will see I do that pretty regularly. I just don't remark on it. But I'm going to mark all this stuff for digging. I'm not going to create paths to it yet because, especially early on, I really want the imps to do what I tell them to do more quickly. And so we're just going to leave that marked. Again, I'm using the scroll wheel to go in and out like I just did. Look, almost all our beds are made. So what's going to happen is our guys will go up here and grab all of this. I have read before that there is apparently an advantage to not taking out all the trees because then you can hide behind them. But I don't want our enemies to be able to hide behind them, so I'm going to mark these trees for removal. I don't even know if that's true, that mechanic of hiding behind them, but it's still pretty cool. I mean, it's neat. So we'll put a torch out here. And then we're going to do something different. We are going to take an eyeball. These eyeballs, see, it makes the area around it visible. I'm looking in the lower right-hand corner. These eyeballs are amazing. You put one outside your entrance, and what they will do is they will spot any enemies that are approaching. Well, it doesn't even need to be enemies. They will spot anything that's out here once it's made. And if somebody is attacking you, you will then be notified that much earlier, and you don't have to have a minion standing out here in a guard spot or just happen to be out here waiting for somebody to show up and maybe make it all the way down into your base before you realize you're being attacked. So I always put the eyeballs in with the keepers that I can. Not all keepers are capable of having eyeballs, of making eyeballs. Let's get back down to Walrus. Okay, all our beds are made. His gate is in there. We're going to floor that in a little bit. We've got some extra wood. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to put torches in here. That's important. We also need to make a workshop because we're going to build stuff. And I like to create a poetry table. Typically the keeper will write limericks and things like that, which can be used as debuffs on your opponents, but also it's just funny. And occasionally they will summon minions, which is pretty neat also. So we've got beds. We can get an artificer. So let's go ahead and get an artificer. Wait. This guy has smelly breath. Okay, see, look. This is a good example of a red circle behind this guy. Red or orange, depending on your level of color blindness. And he has smelly breath. So let's acquire him. Let's take a look at this artificer. What does smelly breath do? So notice here, I am hovering over this smelly breath thing, and you get this tooltip. So you should try doing this all over the place, because as you can see, there's tons of tooltips in the game, and this is a good way to get information. There's also built-in help, and the help that's here is actually very, very comprehensive, but it does not actually cover absolutely everything in the game. But you can read a lot and see all the stuff, but as a wise man once said, if you wanted to read, you would have bought a book. So that's why you should watch my videos instead. So let's go here. Let's take a look at Shuzuk of the Smelly Breath. And we don't want him because it decreases morale of nearby creatures. I just wanted to show this to you. So one thing you can do is banish your guys. But if you banish them, then it can impact the morale of your other minions. So a way I like to get rid of guys is by taking control of them, going up to ground level, finding a body of water, oh look, enemies. And then it's going to ask me, the water is very deep, are you sure? And I'm going to say yes, and then that guy is gone. So I don't know if these guys are going to attack us. No, they're not. So Garland Artificer is killed. Now we are going to recruit. Wait, what are you? You're a warrior? +8 defense against non-humanoids and can see in the dark. That sounds good, but we need a wooden training dummy. So we're going to do that. Let's recruit an artificer. Let's go down to where Walrus is. We need a training room. Why don't we put our training room... Why don't we put our training room over here? So I'm going to go on slow. Let our imps do their thing for a little bit. And we'll make a... we're going to make a training room just for the dummies right now. The training dummies. Then... then we're going to make a training room for archery at some point. But what I want first is a library. So let's make a 4x5 for the library. Okay, I can't stand the slowness. And then we need a sort of specialized size for our archery targets, which we can't make yet because we need to get that technology. But I'll show you when we get archery why a specific size is actually very valuable. Let's build some wooden dummies. This will allow us to recruit. So we only ever really need one. Well, no, that's not true. We need one per recruit, but I like to decorate, like I said. So let's put torches out here. No, we want that on the wall. So I'm double-clicking there. Put that torch in the right place. Put it in the back here. And you can see the imps are pretty quick if you don't have them assigned to a bunch of stuff. You can see we already have a bad sonnet here from the poetry table that Walrus did. We want to recruit... Oh no, we don't want this Smelly Breath. Although Entertainer, this is interesting. Smelly Breath reduces morale. Entertainer can increase morale. We've got a Goblin Wizard. +30 spell speed. Okay, I'm pausing here because I like that. What we're going to do is we're going to go library, bookcase. And yes, putting these next to each other makes them less efficient because guys can surround the whole thing, but I like the way it looks. Although maybe with the library, we should put the bookshelves up against the wall. I like that idea too. Let's do that. Yeah. And maybe we can put a standing torch in here. Room needs to be bigger. What else can we put in here? How about... Well, how about I don't get distracted? Another thing, since we know we want to acquire this wizard, and they only have 139 turns left before they go away, is you can tell your imps prioritize something. So we're going to prioritize the creation of this bookshelf. Okay, and there we go. This bookshelf is made. So now we can acquire this guy. So now we have, if you go look, we have one artificer. Well, we are our keeper, walrus. Our artificer and our wizard and our 4 imps. So all these rest of these things are going to be made. This is complete overkill, but that's okay. That's it for today. We will rejoin Walrus 99 tomorrow for more tutorial shenanigans. If you have questions, suggestions, or topics you want me to cover, please leave a comment. Thank you for your support, and if you have pets, please remember to have them spayed or neutered.